baby leaves you all alone, and nobody calls you on the phone. Don't you feel like a crying? Don't you feel like crying? Well, here I am, honey. Come on, you cry to me when you're all alone in your lonely room, and there's nothing but the smell of her perfume. Don't you feel like a crying? Don't you feel like crying? Don't you feel like a cry? Come on, cry to me. Oh, nothing else, such a waste of time. Oh yeah, you don't ever have to walk alone. You see, come on, take my hand, baby, won't you walk with me? Oh yeah, when you're waiting for a voice to come in the night, but there's no one. Don't you feel like a cry? Cry to me. Don't you feel like crying? Cry to me. Don't you feel like a cry?
Good morning, everybody. It's Larsen Live. It is May the 17th, 2025. There are ice cream freakouts in Congress. And that is why I played the song we opened up with. Solomon Burke's Cry to Me. What does that have to do with ice cream? Nothing at all. To the untrained ear, of course. It is a popular song from the 1950s. And like most popular songs from the 1950s, it uses the ice cream chords, aka the doo-wop progression. Also known as a major first, a minor sixth, a major fourth, and a major fifth. It's a chord progression that I very much enjoy. And, ice cream chords, it makes sense to about 5 people on the planet who are going to get music theory jokes. For the rest of you, you can laugh or not. It's entirely up to you. But yes, let's just get right to the title story. Iced cream entrepreneur Ben Cohen, I believe his name is, of Ben & Jerry's, he's a bit upset. For you see, there's a congressional budget hearing relating to Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s new health initiative. He absolutely loses his shit in Congress, and this is going to do wonders for the brand, I guess. He's mad at Bobo Jr.'s new health initiative. What he's going to do is basically take out, or force companies to take out, all the glyphosates and artificial crap and bilge and filth that they put into American food, which makes us all fat tubs of shit. And he's not too happy about this. He's really mad. He's really mad that he can't cut corners. It is ice cream, sir. It's ice. It's milk. You shake it up. You can literally make ice cream in a plastic bag. In fact, we should be making ice cream in plastic bags. Screw Ben & Jerry's. In case you're wondering, in 2017, the Organic Consumer Association, OCA, tested 11 samples of Ben & Jerry's ice cream and found trace amounts of glyphosate in 10 different flavors. Glyphosate is the active ingredient in Roundup herbicide. How does one get herbicides in the iced cream. For that matter, why are all of us not making ice cream in plastic bags in our freezers? It's better. We should all go do that right now. Oh no, we're going to have to not have unhealthy chemicals in the food. Oh no, we might have to spend a little more money. Oh, shock and horror. I look at the comments and there's absolutely nothing. Oh, and speak of the devil, Shinseki Evans says, why is Pinko ice cream a thing anyway? I don't know. It's, I don't know. There are a bunch of... Okay, so for those of you not aware, Ben & Jerry's is a company run by two, very past their prime American boomers who want to, stick it to the man by making, hippy-dippy, like Shinseki Evans says, Pinko ice cream. And, yeah, it's, they're mad they might have to, take some chemicals out of the ice cream. I mean, there's a lot I don't like about Trump, but, I do support the health initiatives. Oh, look, there's a picture of a Ben & Jerry's carton here. Water, sugar, coconut oil, corn syrup, solids. I don't want corn syrup solids or liquids. Soybean oil, cornstarch, sunflower and soy lecithin, natural flavors, coconut extract, guar gum. I mean, I don't like the guars. That was attacked you when you're in, the Elder Scrolls. And carabine gum. Again, it's ice cream. You put ice and cream and a little salt in a plastic bag and it works its magic. Ponythroat says glycophosphate, aka Agent Orange from the Vietnam War. Yes, I did teach my students about that when I was teaching them about the Vietnam War. Speaking of my students, something positive happened. Yeah, something positive happened in American public school. Yes. I'll get back to the ice cream thing in a second, but I'm so happy how it happened in school, I just have to talk about it. I was talking about the rise of China in the modern economy, and the kids were actually interested in it, mainly because I talked to them about John Cena's, gutless bending of the knee to the Chi-Coms, which they were actually familiar with, so they actually had some idea of what I was talking about. And of course, I also pointed out LeBron James's shameless, gutless bending of the knee to the Chi-Coms, which he also did. The kids enjoyed John Cena talking about his Bing Chilin. See, it all ties together. Ice cream, Ben & Jerry's, make America healthy again. I totally planned this out. I say, shifting my eyes from side to side. I did not plan this out. But, yeah, I mean, you really think that Ben & Jerry's would support what RFK Jr. does, considering that American boomers still worship John F. Kennedy. But yeah, I buy organic when I can. And, I can't help but think that a lot of the problems in America, not all of them, but a lot of them would be solved if we just had, good food to eat and people weren't, fat, disheveled sacks of suet. No, actually, I take that back. They're sacks of shit. Because suet, the thick, hard, visceral fat, can be actually used for things like making pemmican. Sacks of, jiggly lard can be done for no such things. What can you make out of lard? Explosives? Probably. So, so that's what's going on and about in the Trump administration. A few things happened with the Trump administration. Somebody on Twitter said it best. Something that really annoys me about Trump is that half the time he's doing things that, are desperately needed reforms that we've needed for decades, and then he immediately will undo any goodwill from those things by doing just the stupidest crap you could possibly imagine. And yeah, that is basically my opinion of the Trump administration. Some of the things he's doing are like things that we should have been doing a long time ago. Like fixing the food and doing something to clean up the illegal immigrant problem. That's good. Then Trump makes a complete ass of himself and other things. which means, I want to support you, sir, but I can't. Speaking of sensible things that he did, Trump went to the Middle East the other day. I believe he went to the United Arab Emirates. Something very interesting happened. Trump was greeted by a bunch of lovely young Habibis with their hair undone, not in burqas. Shock and awe. People were very upset at this. And by people, I mean, really fanatical Muslims who are from, London. Of course they are. Like really, really intensely fundamentalist expats who couldn't be asked to actually live in their country. And I said asked, not asked. But yes, it's a ceremonial welcome reserved for kings, heads of state, and given highest honor. It's synchronized, whipping their hair back and forth by the ladies. It's sort of like it shows honor and purity of intent, that you are, you respect him enough to, let your hair down before him. It was a king's welcome, so to speak. This is the Al-Ayala, a traditional dance honoring dignitaries, symbolizing the Bedouin values and heritage. Good for him. It's also worth pointing out that apparently no other American president has ever received this. Just Dolan. But yes, speaking of sensible things that Trump does on occasion, in his speech, Trump condemns the neocon establishment. He condemns the so-called nation builders who wrecked more nations than they built, the interventionists who intervened in complex societies they do not understand. And yes, that is absolutely right. Like he's not wrong about that. That is something I support. And speaking of Ben and Jerry's, most liberal Americans would have supported up until Trump said it, and then they turned against it. See, occasionally Trump does say things that are sensible. And then I'm sure right after this he stuck his foot in his mouth doing something. So I don't know what exactly Mr. Trump's deal is. Could it be that Donald Trump is some kind of political idiot savant who variates between being intelligent and just being a blithering moron? It could be. I mean, Trump is the first president in God knows how long to say, maybe we should just let people mind their own business and kind of do their own shit. And yes, the neocons were very, very upset at this. There are still Republicans who defend the Iraq War, the Iraq War II. Those people are stupid. I mean, Desert Storm was okay-ish in that, I support a quick punitive, ass-kicking every now and then. Sort of like, the shores of Tripoli. What I don't support is spending 20 years dicking around with your thumb up your ass trying to make a nation of things. Yes, Philip Melanchthon Wegman was very upset at this. Using scare quotes. I almost said square quotes. Scare quotes around the so-called nation builders. We are sick of you neocons. We're sick of your crap, and you can all kindly go away. Point of Thought says, the new Ben & Jerry's flavor tastes like a bitter divorce. An egg custard. The custardy battle. Yes. Where is everybody? No one else has commented. Is there something very important going on that I just did not take note of? Let's see what's trending on the Twitters. The Toronto Maple Leafs played the Panthers. Where are the Panthers from? I have no idea. The Florida Panthers, yes, because Florida is a place I associate with hockey very much. I associate Sebastopol, California with hockey more than Florida, and that's just because Charles Schultz demanded they build an ice rink there. And by demanded, I mean he literally paid for it himself. What else is trending? Paulini, who's that? A bunch of sports news trending. Tennis. Soccer is also trending, as is motorsport, the Indy 500. So, nothing seems to be super big right now. So, where is everybody? Where are my audience? Where is my audience? All right. Speaking of the Trump administration, let's talk about, news that is horrifying everybody. The first group of South African white refugees has arrived in the United States. It's like literally less than 70 people, and everyone's very upset at this. How dare they? They're not facing any problems. They are, in fact, facing problems. This should not be an issue. I find it hilarious that people are losing their shit over less than 100 people showing up. They don't look like refugees to me. They're not starving. Yeah, food is not the issue here. You cretins. Food was, in fact, never the issue. In fact, these people produce the majority of the food there. Okay, moving on from that. Boy, this stream's gonna go great. Let's go to... Give me 1 second here. I'm just gonna open up a few of my... a few of my bullet points. Okay, something isn't loading. Oh, speaking of borders and refugees and all this general crappiness, from Twitter's at 10 Downing Street, the UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, the NPC who has never had an original thought in his head by his own admission, Keir Starmer says, "We're ending the open borders experiment. For too long, businesses were encouraged to bring in lower-paid workers and invest in our own people, rather than invest in our own people. We're going to fix the system and restore control to our borders. Here's how." Thread. Emoji pointing down. Now, I don't think that Keir Starmer's actually had a change of heart. Again, I don't think the man has a soul. I think the man is sort of like, a Pete Buttigieg or a Gavin Newsom, and that he is just, an empty shell of ambition who wants nothing more than to be the Prime Minister of old Blighty, and he has no principles. He sways in the wind like a windsock. But with that being said, that might work in our benefit because I think, Prime Minister Starmer has recognized that, the winds are changing. People are turning against multiculturalism and open borders. And he's just kind of glom onto that. Hey, let's check out the Starmer plan. We're raising the skills threshold to college degree level to make sure we attract, intelligent and educated people. We're increasing the charge paid by employers when employing overseas workers. We're raising English language requirements. A contribution-based model of settlement and citizenship. Okay? You need 10 years to become a British citizen, with reduction for those who contribute certain amounts to the economy. Settlement in the UK is a privilege, not a right. Yes, I agree. Will this change anything, or is it just empty words? Who knows? Shinsei Evans says black TikTok was setting the lives of those white South Africans. Yes, I did notice that. A lot of shit-lib white people were also losing their shit. How dare we do this? Punchline says they don't look like refugees. They don't even have their hands out. Yeah, I know. What, you mean we have refugees that aren't, grabbing brown people? Who could have imagined? Now, bear in mind that I keep seeing headlines about the British police giving slaps on the wrist to literal pedophile rapists who happen to be of the right skin color, i.e. not white. So we'll see if the Starmer reforms accomplish anything, or will we continue to be, and I say we because really the U.S. is no better than the U.K. or any other European Western country in this regard, just like sclerotic, bureaucratic hellholes where nothing gets accomplished other than just bringing infinity Beaumolians. Ponythroat says, Keir Starmer sees major anti-immigration opposition get popular, so he introduces some half measures, still more conservative than the actual Conservative Party. Yes, like I said, Keir Starmer, by his own admission, mind you, like he's literally never had a dream, he's never had any ambitions. The man has no principles. He has literally admitted to this. He literally does not have any principles or ideals or passions. He's just an empty shell of blind ambition. And he sees the way the winds are blowing. He decides he's going to get in on that. Speaking of, I read something on Twitter about how there's a Turkish company that literally makes fake life vests for refugees. They absorb water instead of repelling it. If that is the case, I admire the petty sadism, Turkey. Good job. Nothing like just petty abuse to settle things. Yeah, also speaking of the UK, I'm trying to find it. There was literally a video I saw where a guy was like, it was a quote-unquote refugee, a.k.a. economic migrant. And they were like, excuse me, sir, why do you want to go to UK? And he's just like, because they give you free stuff. Give me a house. Give me this, give me that. Like, I'm not joking. The interviewer asked him, why should English people pay for you to have a house? He's like, give me a house. Give me anything I need. Give it to me. Yeah, that about sums it up. Yeah, I can't imagine why the winds are changing. I can't imagine why people are turning against this sort of thing. It's not just the Chinese promoting quote-unquote black fatigue on TikTok. I mean, granted, stirring up racial conflict was a tried-and-true strategy of communist regimes against the United States, but, this might be organic. Okay, let's see what we got. Else we have here. Going back to the Trump regime, Trump announces price controls on pharmaceuticals. And many people, just the worst kind of people, are very upset at this. So says at Sarah Longwell 25. And I thought women were empathetic, but I guess not. For everyone who voted against Democrats because they didn't want socialism, what do you think this is? Yes, it's socialism to, prevent big pharmaceutical companies from, ravaging and pillaging the country. And bear in mind that, other countries price control the hell out of our pharmaceuticals. I think it's been estimated somewhere that the United States produces, almost 50% of all the new pharmaceuticals and drug research in the world today. Yet another way we're getting dicked over. Everyone else price controls us. They have to sell at a loss. So, of course, they just mark it up 1,500% in this country, and we all suffer for it. No, it's un-American to restrict monopolies. Nee. I mean, yeah, it's okay if Canada and England and France and Germany and everyone else, sells our shit at a bargain, but no, Americans can't do anything good. You can't provide the slightest bit of relief towards American citizens. No. Yes, restricting monopoly is un-American. It's the worst possible thing. Yes, famous communist Theodore Roosevelt, well known for destroying monopolies. I mean, I would say that we could definitely use another Theodore Roosevelt in this country, but I mean, I think that was kind of going without saying. Yes, we need more like kind of barrel-chested men in glasses punching people in the face in this country. Also, the eugenics. No, just kidding. We don't need that part. But yes, I think I've alluded to this before, but yes, I'm a big fan of Theodore Roosevelt, the man who was too angry to have asthma. Point of thought says, quick, lower pharmaceutical prices before a greasy Italian man shoots us in the street and is proclaimed the hero for it. I mean, it's funny that you say proclaimed. I mean, I really have no objections to the Mangione incident. And, you know, this is exhibit number 500 about why I have no respect for libertarians and why nobody else has why nobody else has respect for libertarians either. You can tell I don't prepare beyond bullet points because I'm just stumbling over my words. I could prepare a full script, but I'm not going to. But yes, this is why nobody likes libertarians. I mean, it has been said that sort of like the median American voter is vaguely libertarian-ish in the sense that, you know, most people just want to mind their own business and not bother other people. Then you have, like, the official libertarians. The people who are like, oh, the society would be better if we, you know, just hand everything over to corporations. They couldn't possibly exploit people. Only the government can exploit people. Like, yes, obviously the government can be oppressive and it can be exploitative, but so can corporations, especially when they wield the government like a dick puppet. And then also libertarians are also really into having sex with children, but that's a whole different issue. Oh, Larsen, they don't all want to have sex with children. You only say that because every libertarian you've met basically wants to have sex with children. But, you know, what would Theodore Roosevelt know about being a great American as opposed to some libertarian bitch named Sarah Longwell? Funny thought says, the main reason people don't like libertarians is the smell. Okay, seriously, what the hell's going on with my audience? It was like 8, and now it's 2. I mean, I know I didn't schedule this until like 9 last night, but still. We've discussed this. I have to get good boy points. So I can't make videos as much as I used to. And yes, I know that like the live streams, you know, have their kind of set audience, and they're not really going to get new audience members. I got to make the scripted videos for that. I will be doing more of that in the summer. Okay, let's see what else we got going on here. I think we're getting more into the silly side of things. And by the silly side of things, I of course mean paterfamiliicide. Actually, this kind of ties into the pharmaceutical thing. A lack of pharmaceuticals, a lack of mental health care, I should say, caused some guy to Chris Benoit his whole family. So basically, a woman documents her husband's mental health journey for 22,000 Facebook followers. He then murder-suicides the entire family. She basically did this up until the day he went Benoit mode. Man in Nebraska, Jeremy Koch, K-O-C-H. He fatally stabs his wife, his children, and himself. On Facebook, anchoring hope for mental health, Jeremy and Bailey Koch. This woman who, just looking at her, she seems incredibly toxic. She's a pudgy woman with full sleeve tattoos. She says, high school sweethearts, now together 25 years. Our love story consists of fighting suicidal thoughts and attempts publicly, so you know you're not alone. We fight with you. God is stronger than this battle. 2 days before the incident, the paperwork to approve TMS treatments for Jeremy's mental health battle will be submitted today. We spent over an hour going through every aspect of our 16-year journey of ups, downs, failures, fears, and celebrations related to the hottie hubby's suicidal ideations, attempts, and hospitalizations. We feel confident TMS in Kearney at Serene Mental Health is where we're being led. Pray for insurance approval and we can get started ASAP. Thank you. We see the man in the hospital on May 4th. Did a little advocating for hottie hubby today with the Holy Spirit's intervention. Huge praise up. Okay, wait. Then the day before the incident. I wish I had better news, as Jeremy was so happy to be released from the mental hospital yesterday to go home in time for our oldest son's high school graduation. It appears Jeremy is reacting negatively to our attempt at a new mental health medication. He had a very hard time getting out of bed this morning. Then he called me on my way to work and he told me he was going back to bed. This is mental illness, a roller coaster, ups, downs, highs, lows, hope, and no hope. Okay. He's overwhelmed. When he's overwhelmed and struggling with his mental illness symptoms, everything in him tells him to retreat, sleep, segregate, but nothing gets better. He's having suicidal thoughts, so he had some tears of frustration and sadness. What do? I jump in and advocate because he can't. We were so hopeful yesterday. And then at this point, the husband got really tired of his wife trying to, grandstand and hot dog about this, and, it's, Benoit mode. I mean, I don't approve of this, but, I can understand why, is all I'm saying. This is, I don't know, whatever happened to, not airing out your dirty laundry? Many cultures all around the world have the concept of, don't air your dirty laundry out in front of strangers, but apparently we've forgotten this. This seems wildly inappropriate, and, I can't say I'm entirely surprised this happened. Okay. Shinseki Evans says, I feel sorry for the kids. Yeah, the kids didn't deserve that. I mean, the parents were terrible human beings from what I can see. Punishment says, was he suffering from crepitating brain erosion like Chris Benoit? I mean, he had something wrong with his brain. He didn't have 20 years of, blunt force trauma to the forehead like Mr. Benoit. But he had severe mental illness for 25 years. Yeah, I can't imagine this happened. Okay, how did this happen? Okay, let's see what else we got going on here. Okay, so in business news, in the loosest sense of the word business, the really shitty art style that what do you call it? That Alia account or whatever. The corporate Memphis style. Yeah, that's been adopted for every business, and now it's apparently adopted for online prostitution as well. From Trist.link, probably shouldn't have given you the link for that, but oh well. The home of the independent escort. It's corporate Memphis. This is just the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. You are aware hold on, I gotta pull this up. This is ass and not the good kind. Excuse me, first of all, I don't know who invented the corporate Memphis art style, but they need to be dragged into the street and shot. To quote Garfield the cat. No, really. That was literally his catchphrase in the Garfield and Friends cartoon back in the 90s. One of the catchphrases anyway. Whoever did so-and-so should be dragged into the street and shot. Yeah, that was a thing you could say in a children's show in the 90s. Yeah, good times. But yeah, this is absolutely horrendous, this art style. Like, you are aware you're trying to sell sex, right? Nothing about this is sexy, like weird lumpy cartoon things. In what universe did you think this was a good idea? Like, I could literally name, like, 5 different cartoon styles that would be more sexually appealing than this. You couldn't get somebody to, like, crop up some, knockoff Tex Avery thing? Or, like, a, knockoff, like, Fleischer Brothers thing? Or, like, anything? Corporate Memphis, Alligator, whatever it is, it's just, this is the worst. The worst art style in the world. Ever. Boy, it's amazing how you just take the fun out of everything. Even sex. Okay, Alpha says it's so stupid, referring to this picture, I guess. Alpha says, you mean a blunt forces trauma? Probably, yes. Shinseki Evans says, there's certain situations where I support divorce, and partner goes crazy is one of them. I mean, the divorce thing's kind of an issue with, like, on the one hand, speaking of being libertarian-ish, it's like, yes, I support people's right in theory to leave a marriage whenever they want. I just think they shouldn't, because often what happens is you have some woman who, and it is often a woman because women initiate most divorces, they'll read some crappy smut book and they'll decide, like, oh, like, I'm not getting this out of my life, and then they'll divorce their husband and ruin both their lives. That has happened on many occasions. So I mean, like, I support no fault divorce, but I also support, like, I also support sort of a divorce lawyer, being empowered to tell a woman, you don't have any problems, you're just being an entitled bitch. Now fix it. That's the main thing. Like, we give people all these options and freedoms to do as they should, which in theory I support, but there's no other end of the pendulum. There's no other end of the scale. There's no person saying you don't need to do this. You have the right to do this, but you probably shouldn't. You're being stupid. I mean, I guess that would exist if we had, functioning communities, but we don't. Alpha Marigi says, it's not just the style, but the ugly trans character. Ponythroat says, insufficient all-caps Jokerman text for an online brothel. What is Jokerman text? Okay, it's the work. Oh, I see. It's a font. People say people who are into troons and just use a dating app or go to Thailand. Ponythroat says, needs to have the style of a 1960s Soviet cartoon. I mean, yeah, that would be better. I mean, if this was done in the style of, like, Jusika, or like the, what's that, I think it's Jusika, that, like, Hungarian girl, like, comic strip. Yeah, like, that would be more appealing than this. Like I said, I could literally name, like, 5, low effort, kind of simplified cartoon styles that would be much better and sexually appealing than this. Even, and I hate to say this, even, like, you could crap up some shitty John Cristofalusi knockoff and it would be more sexually appealing than this. And I say that as somebody who has never felt anything other than revulsion at John Cristofalusi's women. It's like, yeah, John, give them massive lordosis and have them, like, be super wiggly. That totally turns me on. Not. Ponythroat says, damn, I need to get a divorce because my husband is not a billionaire tycoon werewolf who only works 2 hours a week. I can do better in my 40s. Yep, there's a lot of that. I mean, there have been many, many women who have ruined their marriages thanks to reading Eat, Pray, Love. And you can find articles where they basically proudly explain the same. Alpha Rodriguez says, the same thing is a huge problem in politics. Republicans bitch about Democrats kicking the can down the road, but they couldn't pick up the can because herder it ruins the economy. Ah, yes. There's a time and a place for principles, but sometimes you gotta get shit done. And then you can worry about the principles later. Okay, moving on from that. And speaking of, I guess we can go to like the silly, pop culture side of things. Actually, I take that back. We have one more serious topic to discuss before we get to the silly side of things. So, I mentioned, me finally breaking through and connecting with my students, in May, finally. But dare I say, I've found a major reason for why American schooling sucks. It's because, that 3 cueing, like, whole word reading crap that they're pushing in schools. Yeah, apparently this whole theory was literally thought up by a Ken Goodman, who basically, he got big in the education circles somehow. He said, well, I don't read by phonics, so therefore everyone else can learn how to not read by phonics. Ken Goodman is almost certainly an undiagnosed dyslexic. He learned some coping mechanisms and decided that he was going to take his anger out on phonic reading and, hope for the best. How this got popular, I do not know. But apparently this got in good with the education industry, probably because it means that teachers have to, work less hard. Ken Goodman said, I feel dyslexia does not exist, despite plenty of evidence that it does. Yes. Okay, let's see. It's worth pointing out that 20% of all humans on Earth have some degree of dyslexia. So, yeah, like his whole thing about, 3 cue reading, graphic cues, syntactic cues, and semantic cues. That's literally how dyslexic people read. The person who wrote this post, her husband is dyslexic. She says, my partner would swap words that were contextually correct, but not what he actually meant. So, for example, if you wanted me to hand him a blue comb on the table, he said, could you please hand me the green brush? Or if he was describing a cat, he would say something conceptually related to the concept, but the opposite, like dog. So as a result, I had to ask him to clarify or repeat himself. The worst part was he was barely aware of this. I mean, so essentially, if you want to know why Americans can't read nowadays, it's because we had a very famous educator who literally forced the country to read like they were dyslexic. Now, why this happened, I don't know, but yeah, I guess it does make sense now that I know that this did actually happen. The purpose is not to learn words, Ken Goodman said. The purpose is to make sense. Well, dare I say, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, I gotta do some more research on this. You know, I would say I want to write a book on the fucking of American education, but I mean it's been written. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why we ever gave up on, phonics. Like, reading is reading. It's a skill. It's like phonic-based reading for alphabetic script works for 98% of the people. And apparently, from what I'm looking up, this does come cyclically. For whatever reason, American educators just hate learning phonic-based reading. Anybody remember in the 90s, they had those ads for Hooked on Phonics on TV? For it was like remedial reading programs for kids. Yeah, you know why those were popular? Because apparently there were a lot of kids who weren't on phonics. There were a lot of kids who were given this whole Q word crap and they couldn't read. So they had to sort of erase all that and go back to learning how to read the right way. I mean, I teach high school, and like some of the kids I see, they can't read worth a shit. And like when I tell them, sound it out, this apparently like boggles their mind. I mean, I guess I came up during like a good period. Well, I mean, the 90s were good for this country. But yeah, I specifically remember being told to, sound things out when I was in kindergarten. I remember being told, to read phonically. And guess what? I learned how to read. So thank you, kindergarten teachers. See, everything good. See, I was taught well in kindergarten, and I read well because of it. Now, granted, when I was in kindergarten, you could still say to the children, sit Indian style, which I don't think you do nowadays. But, the reading was good. Okay. Ponythroat says, I learned to read at 11. I did so via the power of unfiltered internet access. Least illiterate homeschooled person. Well, at least you read something, sir. Ponythroat says, aphasia pill gibberish maxing. Yes. How is aphasia different from dyslexia? Give me, So, I guess so it's like there's a spectrum of dyslexia and aphasia is part of it, I guess. Okay. Alpha Mariki says, the Wilson reading system retrains dyslexic students to read phonically later on in life. For me, it was 9th to 10th grade and helped me read faster. Shinseki Evans says, I hated how we were experimented on as kids with new, unproven educational theories. I don't know why anybody had to, like, rediscover reading. I mean, alphabets have been around for a few thousand years. I'm pretty sure back in, like, the Phoenician times, they were teaching, little Copus was learning how to read, phonetically. It's, Stavros in ancient Greece was learning how to read phonetically, alpha, beta, gamma, delta, etc. But, I guess we're not, I guess we think we're better than, little Stavros and, Memnon from back in the ancient times learned how to read phonetically. We are not, in fact, better than them. In many ways, they were better men than us. But yeah, I guess I'm just glad that I was taught, properly. I don't know what exactly was going on in education when I was a child. I mean, I know I was taught how to do things, in a sensible way. I was taught to read phonetically and do, basic, arithmetic equations. Maybe my teachers were just, ignoring the diktats from the ivory tower apparatchiks. And they're both my kindergarten teachers were pretty old ladies, so maybe they're just doing things the way they knew how to do, and they were tenured, so, nobody cared. Shinseki Evans says, is Indian style based on Native Americans or Pajeets? Feathers, not dots, sir. Alpha says, the sight words, Halleck. We have too many sight words. Pornito says, Phoenicians like phonics so much that they named their civilization after it. Yes, well said. I mean, I'm just saying, like, as I keep saying, I do want to run for public office at some point in my life, maybe around when I get tenure at school. so I don't have to worry so much about finances. But yeah, it's like, I can't fix everything, but I know for a fact that I can fix education. It just, there's things that are, there's ways you learn and there's ways you don't learn. I know how to learn them. Oh, and also, I would reform gym class to have a unit on circus skills because, by God, the three-ring circus is an American cultural tradition, and we're going to keep it alive. But I digress. Q reading. Anyways, speaking of, I think I was talking about the Broads earlier, and also Eastern Europe. There is a new meme going on the Russian internets. It is the Skuf meme. SKUF. So basically, this is interesting because it's sort of like a convergent evolution of memes. This is kind of like the Chud or the Wojak. Basically, a Skuf is a, kind of beer-bellied middle-aged man who's balding, basically, is going nowhere in life, has no ambitions beyond, watching a game on TV or going fishing or drinking. This gave rise to a joke that the government will pair up Skufs with altushkas, roughly translated alties, young women who embrace alternative aesthetics, and that Skufs should get their altushka through Gosuslugi, the Russian government online portal of state and municipal services. This meme has inspired local authors and game designers to create games centered around Skufs who get their government-mandated girlfriend altushka. At least one has been pretty popular since last spring. And another one will be coming out sometime soon. I'm going to put this picture up. Yeah, it's kind of a convergent meme evolution. It's sort of like a Wojak or like a North FC kind of thing. Yeah, I would say it's probably closer to North FC. It's like the Russian equivalent of that. The Skuf. They also have government-mandated goth girlfriends, the alties, altushkas, sort of like, dear alt girl. Prince Ivanshka. Have you ever sat on a shield before? A shovel before? Well, not the flat part, anyway. Hey. Alpha Mega says that's what Trump is trying to do, to empower teachers and abolish the DOE. Well, I'm not inherently against there being a federal Department of Education. It sucks. It needs massive reform. Like, hey, guess what? We're going to have one history curriculum, and it's going to be hard-hitting and tell the truth. And the best part is that's going to offend everybody, both conservatives and liberals, because everybody has their own little historical lies that they tell to, push some kind of political agenda one way or the other. We're getting rid of all that shit. Hey. Shinseki Evan says, I was wondering because of how yogis sit. I mean, I would be very impressed if a bunch of kindergartners could sit in lotus position. But no, it's just we're sitting Indian style, or crisscross applesauce, as the children say nowadays. And yes, in case you're wondering, I have used the phrase back when I was subbing in, like, elementary schools. And, like, I subbed in, like, pre-Ks and kindergarten, and, this is years and years ago. And yes, I did use the term Indian style, and, I was gently reprimanded for it. But I digress. Ponythor, referring to the Skuf meme, says, free mandatory girlfriend distributed by the Politburo. Sees the means of reproduction. Yes, well said. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this... I mean, I don't really see how this is a meme. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this basically just what every Eastern European couple looks like? Like... That is kind of the stereotype of Eastern European couples, that the women look like Disney princesses and the men are like ogres. But like all stereotypes, there's a little bit of truth to it. So, yes, if you are a Skuf, go get your altushka. Alvarez says, Gatim. Don't know what that means. But yes, if it'll make the Skufs and the altushkas happy, then, that's good for them. Okay. In pop culture news, Morris the Alligator, best known for his appearances in Happy Gilmore and other films, passed away recently. He was in movies like Alligator 1 and 2, Dr. Dolittle, Interview with a Vampire, Blues Brothers 2000, Eraser, and most famously, Happy Gilmore. He also appeared on The Jay Leno Show and once ate several pieces of the furniture on the show Coach. Yes, Morris the Alligator died at the age of, I think it was like 60 or something. So, he had a very rich career, and let's pay our respects. His co-star, Adam Sandler, did. He said, "Goodbye, Morris, we're all going to miss you. You did it for the ultimate good of the film. The day you wouldn't come out of your trailer unless we sent in 40 heads of lettuce taught me a powerful lesson. Don't compromise your art. I will never forget the time at craft stores, the time we split the candy bar and you let me have the bigger part. That's who you were. I will miss the sound of your tail sliding through the tall grass, your cold, bumpy skin, and your infectious laughter. Go with God, my old friend." Signed, Adam. Well, that's very nice of him. Yep, now all three of the people in the ending of Happy Gilmore are in heaven. It's Abraham Lincoln and Carl Weathers and Morris the Alligator. I guess Apollo Creed and the Alligator are gonna have a rematch. Alpha says it's an outdated interwebs ebonics variation of burn. I see. Ponythrow says it's tragic that Morris was passed up for Crocodile Dundee. Well, I mean, the movie's not called Alligator Dundee, sir. Why would an alligator be in that movie? I don't care what anybody says, I can tell the difference. And finally, this is not on Twitter, but I was browsing the YouTubes the other day, and I learned that Ray Harryhausen, the stop-motion animation master, best known for, The Beast of 20,000 Fathoms and the Sinbad movies, he wanted to make a fourth Sinbad movie, a movie in which Sinbad goes to Mars. Yes, you read that right. Ray Harryhausen wanted to do Sinbad on Mars. The fact that we were deprived of this movie very much upsets me. And apparently he was pushing for this movie for years, up until like the 90s when he finally retired. I don't know, I think it would have been good. Like, I know in the 70s they weren't doing these lighthearted, action-adventure movies anymore, but come on, it's men in puffy pants fighting aliens. What more do you want? I mentioned this like years ago on the stream. I talked about how in some, multiverse, alternate universe, we got a 1950s John Carter of Mars movie starring Kirk Douglas, where he fights Ray Harryhausen puppets. And apparently Ray Harryhausen had the same idea, because he wanted to do this. Sadly, we'll never get to see that, but we can hope. You're very good at tearing apart women and children, but when was the last time you rent men, Talhajuice? That's my Kirk Douglas impression. It's not great. Anyway, on that note, that does for my prepared remarks. You can say your last pieces now if you want. Shinseki Evans says, I'm pushing 50. I still can't tell alligators and crocodiles apart. Well, if you look at them side to side, it's pretty easy. Alligators, they have like more round, kind of wide snouts, and crocodiles are more narrow. And alligators, they have their teeth that kind of stick out on the side, and crocs don't. Shinseki Evans says, I got to meet old Ray Harryhausen. Came to our town for a very poorly advertised event. Well, that's really cool. I wish I could have met the man, but he died a while back. Let's see. When did Ray Harryhausen bite it? He died in 2013, so I, in fact, could have met him. But I didn't. I'm sorry. Okay. Point of says, not doing those light-hearted action-adventure movies in the 90s unless you're the Mummy. Yeah, I mean, there was kind of a resurgence, but for whatever reason, you just couldn't get this Sinbad on Mars movie off the ground. I mean, I think in the 70s, it was definitely, the times were changing. Like, he even says that he blames the failure of, like, the Valley of Gwangi just on changing tastes. Now, granted, the Valley of Gwangi didn't have, women with, like, oil troweled onto their tits, but, like the Sinbad movies did, but that's neither here nor there. Alpha Rodriguez says, Beaver Warrior from Yu-Gi-Oh! Is a rat. It was all I could think of. The point is, Normans would be completely fine with an alligator being Crocodile Dundee. I mean, yeah, in theory, but, I would have known the difference. And, obviously, I'm the target audience here. Alpha Rodriguez says, I missed the title story, but I was 15 pounds less fat than I thought I would, so I bought ice cream sandwiches. Well, congratulations, sir. I, could stand to lose a little weight myself. It's not like a health issue. It's more of a looking like a schlub versus looking like a Greek god kind of weight loss. I'm currently in schlub mode. Dare I say, I have a bit of a dad bod going on. We discussed this a couple of weeks ago. As you know, anyway, the point is, I'm sure that the Sinbad on Mars movie could have gotten, like, Raquel Welch or something and paint her green, and, there you go. Like, that would have been a good selling point. Maybe Ingrid Pitt or, like, Jane Seymour or someone. So, yeah, that does it for my prepared remarks. Say your last pieces now, should you desire. Okay, Alpha Marie says, Ben & Jerry's has a very similar demographic to organic food, but their ice cream is not organic. Very sus that Ben interrupted RFK. Yes, I mean, hippy-dippy stuff is cool, but, you gotta stack that paper. That's the most important thing. Oh, and with regards to the crocodile thing, it's crocodiles that teeth, they stick out of the side. My mistake. Okay, so with that being said, for Larsen Halleck, this has been Larsen Halleck. All of you have a good day.